I did want to ask you, Ross, was we were talking about all the things that might happen. There's been something that involved your country and mine, and that is there's an Australian researcher that has exposed this whole Five Eyes meeting about the ARROW, the All Domain Anomalous Resolution Office. And I don't think I'm quite as hip to all the details of it as you might be, but I think it's an important story.
Yeah, there's a good mate of mine, Grant Levac, who's done some great FOI work in the United States, where he's basically found out that our Australian Defence Department was lying through its teeth, because they initially denied any knowledge of any meetings involving conversations with its Five Eye Alliance partners about UAPs. And the Five Eyes, for anybody who doesn't know, is an extremely important intelligence alliance that goes right back to World War II. It was essentially initially a signals intelligence alliance where Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the US, and the UK collaborated on spying on signals, on communications of the Japanese and the Germans and the Italians. But it's since broadened into a much broader alliance. And I've known for a while that Australians are collaborating with United States military on retrievals, on attempts to retrieve not only foreign nation technology, Russian, Chinese, potential adversary technology, but also, on occasion, non-human technology. Big call, yes, but it'll take it or leave it. It's happening. And I've spoken to Australian military personnel who tell me that they've been involved in some of these recovery operations. And what's really interesting is Australia's Chief of Defence Force gave evidence before a parliamentary committee last year where essentially they denied any knowledge of any such meetings. Now, I actually suspect that this is a case of a screw-up rather than a conspiracy. I actually don't think the Australian Defence Department knew what its left hand was doing. And my understanding is an inquiry was made initially very half-heartedly of the Australian Embassy in Washington, D.C., and a denial came back that there were any such Five Eyes consultations. But it came back eventually that the Defence Intelligence Organisation was involved. That's Australia's equivalent of the DIA, the Defence Intelligence Agency. And it was involved in a secret Five Eyes meeting in Washington, D.C. in May last year with all the other Five Eyes nations. Now, why is this significant? Because it was essentially a briefing by ARROW on UAPs. And the thing that's most interesting to me as someone who studies classifications and knows a little bit about how things are protected, how secrets are protected, is that one of the security classifications that was used was TK, talent keyhole. And that's very, very significant because it means that whatever was being talked about at that meeting, it was classified under a terminology of classification that covers surveillance satellites and reconnaissance aircraft. And so whatever it is, they were discussing feed from American spy satellites, TKs, talent keyholes, protected information. And so we don't know what was transpired at this meeting, but there are people I'm talking to very, very covertly inside Australian intelligence who tell me that there has been a definite shift in attitude in the official halls in Australia's Defence Department. What was once spurned and laughed at, the issue of UAPs, is now being taken much more seriously. And I think it's because they've realised their colleagues, the Yanks, are taking it very seriously indeed.